One way to power your diesel heater is to use a deep cycle battery. Here's how I did it. I used a deep cycle battery I picked up at Walmart. It's a 29 DC. This battery is more than capable of powering a diesel heater. The only thing you need to be aware of is that over time it's going to deplete its charge. So what I do is I use a trickle charger that I bought on eBay. Now this trickle charger can put out just over 1 amp, so you need to be aware of that. If your diesel heater is using more than 1 amp of current, this trickle charge is not going to keep up, and eventually the battery will run out. Later this year, I'm going to convert this to using my solar charger, and I'm hopeful that I'll be charging it during the day and using the battery at night, and I'll be okay. We'll find out when we actually hook everything up and see if it works. Now, for this setup, what I've done is I run the diesel heater off the Marine deep cycle battery. I hook it up using these clamps, little spark there, and what I'm going to do is show the diesel heater starting up, the power consumption on the diesel heater. We'll look at the voltage of the battery, and then we'll look at how this all works together and get an idea of whether or not this is going to be a viable setup. Now, one thing I like about this setup is that if I lose power out here in the garage, the battery will keep the diesel heater going. The plus of that is I can shut the diesel heater down and let it go through its cool down cycle, unlike if it were plugged into a converter and the power went out, it would immediately lose power and it would be overheating and possibly damage the diesel heater. So this setup is nice for that, as long as you're there to shut down the diesel heater when the power goes out. Let's look at the hookup. So here's my setup. I've got the trickle charger onto the smaller set of terminals on the battery, and right now the trickle charger is not turned on. The battery is charged up 13.68 volts. We're seeing it's dropping a little bit as it's getting used. It is plugged in to the diesel heater. These posts are powering the diesel heater, and the diesel heater right now is showing, let's find out, 13.9 volts. Now let's take a look at the current that's being drawn. I'm going to use a DC clamp-on current meter. Make sure you zero out your current meter if you're running it in DC. And let's put that on the positive side and see what we're drawing without the heater being turned on. So not a lot of amperage being drawn right now, just having the heater on. The display screen is on, and we're not seeing a lot of current being drawn. So now let's plug in our trickle charger. We'll see the voltage go up, and we're still drawing the same amount of current. So now let's turn on the diesel heater. What we're really interested in is the current. So let's see what we're going to draw here. As this diesel heater turns on, we're going to see the current go up considerably as the glow plug starts up. And the glow plug consumes quite a bit of power as it heats up. When the pump starts going, it'll start burning the fuel. And after a short time, the current draw will drop considerably. Now we're seeing the voltage drop as the current draw goes up. So one thing worth pointing out with these trickle chargers, you need to get a trickle charger that just provides a steady voltage, not one that tries to treat the battery and goes up in voltage and down in voltage. This is a very inexpensive trickle charger that I bought on eBay. You can hear the pump starting now, and the current is going up a little bit more. I think we're going to go up to just over 10, maybe 11 amps of current. And we are looking at 12.4 volts now, and the current is going up as well. So the startup of the diesel heater consumes the most power. You need to make sure that your battery is capable of handling that. I don't know how long the battery would run without the trickle charger. I suspect it would be good for quite a while, but I've never actually tried it. Okay, so the pump is definitely going, and we're starting to get some heat coming out of the diesel heater. Fan is kicking on full. Yep, we're up over 11.5 amps, 12. So this is about the maximum it's going to draw at this stage. And after the burn chamber gets heated up enough, the glow plug will shut off, and there it goes. It dropped off considerably on the current draw. It'll drop down under 3 as it runs. I've got the diesel heater running at 4 hertz, and if we drop the diesel heater down even less, we'll consume a lot less power. And in fact, we're going to look at how much current the trickle charger is providing as opposed to how much is going out the battery. As I slow down the heater, you'll see that we could balance that out to make it almost equal. And just for reference, we're at 12.38 volts on the multimeter, keeping track of voltage. We'll take a look at the diesel heater, what it's showing. I suspect one of them is not perfectly accurate. So the heater is starting to get into its 4 hertz cycle. I could hear it slowing down. And this is where it's going to run. If I leave it at 4 hertz, we'll be drawing about 2.5 amps. So if we left it at this setting, drawing about 2.5 amps, I'm going to take this off the battery. And I gotta hit that button again. There we go. And let's check on the trickle charger what we're drawing for voltage. And on the trickle charger, we're getting 1.25 amps. So left at this setting, we're going to be at a deficit, and eventually the battery will be depleted. This would be over a considerable amount of time, however, because we're not at that much of a deficit. But with that in mind, at 1.3 amps being drawn by the trickle charger and 2.5 roughly being drawn by the diesel heater, we could slow the diesel heater down and balance them out. Let's see about doing that. So we are at 3.5. I think if I go to about 2 hertz, so well, I don't think I can get exactly at 2, but roughly 2.1 hertz, which is slowed down considerably, still putting out some nice heat. And this would be nice for maintaining temperature. And just for fun, let's see what we're seeing for voltage here. So this is showing 12.7 volts. The meter here is showing 12.6 roughly. And we are drawing just over 1 amp of current out of the battery. So with that in mind, running at 2.1 hertz, we're charging the battery enough to keep it charged, and we won't run out. We could run at this rate for as long as we have fuel, I guess, and as long as we have power. Again, the nice thing about this setup, though, is if we lost power, the battery would keep running for as long as it maintained a charge, and I don't actually know how long this would run for, but I believe it would be enough time for me to come over and turn off the heater. I'm certain of that. This battery's fairly current, and well, actually, you can see the date on it. It was purchased in September of 2018, so that was coming up on 5 years ago. I guess it's not that current, but it seems to work well still. So we're seeing 12.7 volts. So it is possible to run your diesel heater off a deep cycle battery. You can do it. For how long without a trickle charger, I'm not certain. Again, later this year, I'm going to be hooking up my solar charger, and I've got 100 watts of panels, and we'll see how much we can keep the battery charged and the diesel heater running. Hopefully I'll have a more permanent setup for the solar setup next year, and I can run it in the winter time and see what it does. So there's the answer. I'm able to run this diesel heater off the deep cycle battery and keep it running with the trickle charger as long as I'm at 2.1 hertz on the heater. If I turn it up, it's going to start to put the battery at a deficit, but it would be quite a long time, I believe, before the battery were depleted, or the voltage would be low enough that the diesel heater would shut off. So just wanted to say real quick, please subscribe to the channel if you like this diesel heater content. I'm going to have much more of it. I'm going to disassemble the diesel heater at the end of the season. I've got actually 4 diesel heaters. One of them still in a box that I haven't used, but I plan to use them throughout the garage. I like them a lot. So please subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, a thumbs up, or what have you, and leave a comment if there's anything you want to discuss about diesel heaters.